Okay, so here we are, we're under the Freelander now, and I've got a torch just underneath here, just to show where the bush is. This is it here, try not to get in the way, but this is the rubber bush here. You got your two bolts that are bolting your bush on and everything like that. But if I get hold of this shift linkage here, I mean I can put it, hold on. I can move it in gear, in and out of gear, but if I try and pull this now, it's a bit dark, but you can see when you're shifting, there's a bit of play in the bush, even though the bush is actually in good condition, so that's what we're going to be replacing. Okay, so these two bolts here on either side are indeed 10mm, so I was able to slacken them off without any penetrant or WD. They come off relatively easily, so I'm just going to wind these out and remove the standard rubber bush in there and get back to you once I've done that. So here's both our bolts. As you can see, they're really nice condition actually. There's no corrosion or anything like that, which is why they're so easy to remove. Obviously a bit on the outside on the actual heads, but the actual threads are really nice, and I think they're some sort of zinc or something coated, which is good to see. And then up here, as you can see, the shifter has dropped now, so just be careful with that. Just gonna see if we can try and pop this off. And then we can see the condition of the bush, which looks very good actually. So the end here is a bit rusty, but it sort of flares outwards to prevent, I guess, the bush coming off completely, maybe, or something like that. But yeah, I'll just give this a go and see how I get on. Okay, so got the bush off. It wasn't too bad. I'd probably recommend maybe just spraying a bit of WD-40 on the end, just to sort of lubricate it off of the actual shaft here. Yeah, there is a little bit of pitting from rust on the shaft, but it's nothing severe. This is a car from 1999, so 99 Freelander, but it's generally pretty good underneath this one. I think it's led most of its life in the city, which has probably helped. Let's have a look at these. So there's your standard bush, as you can see. Sorry about the lighting, it's not the best, but there we are. There's your standard bush. And you got your sort of your sheet steel backplate there. There's the bush itself. It is quite soft rubber. You might be able to see. But yeah, it's actually really good condition. It hasn't worn out in the centre, at least not by much, I would say. Yeah, it's not too bad. So I'll just compare this one, get the new one out and ready, and I'll show you that compared to the old one now. So here's the new polyurethane bush. Here's the old standard one. As you can see, I've already taken one of the steel sleeves out. They do get a bit rusty, with the rubber on the outside, so it's not too bad actually to just wiggle those out. So got that one out, as you can see. I'm going to do the next one after, but I'll just probably wire all this, clean that up, and then just pop them in there like so. And then obviously you've got your bracket, which on your old one you've got these two locating tabs in your rubber, On this one it just sits on the outside, like so I believe. Yep. And then, just as a comparison, you know, that is solid. Absolutely solid, whereas your rubber bush, you know, you can really flex it. Like I say, the condition isn't bad on this one. It's done about, let me see, I think it's 120 odd thousand miles this car, 99, so not a ton of mileage. The bush is actually really good condition, to be fair. Luckily the bolts are still really nice. In the PowerFlex kit here, you do also get the silicone bush assembly grease, which is nice. So I'll be applying that as well. Just it's on only on the central one where your actual axis is for your shift linkage. And then you can get a black and I believe an orange version. I went for the black version, which it's a stiffer bush over the orange ones they do. I'm not sure if they do any other colours or any different types of compounds for these particular bushes. But I do know they definitely do two. One's a softer, I believe, orange version, and the other one's this harder black polyurethane. So I guess it just depends on what you're looking for. But just clean everything up, get these bushes out, pop them into here, and I'll show you the process of fitting the new bush once I've done all that. Okay, so cleaned everything up, make sure everything's pretty nice and clean, particularly this the hole which the actual gear linkage shaft is going to be sitting in. Make sure that's clean, so that when it comes time, we're just about to apply the grease, it's nice and clean in there, we've got no grit or anything. I did clean the bolts of these threads up, just a paper towel type thing, cloth. And then these were, one of these, as you can see, isn't too bad. The other one did get fairly heavy corrosion on the outside. Both are nice inside, but the outside hasn't fared so well. And so you can see there's actual divots in the steel, which will probably mean that when it comes time to seating it in the hole, it won't be perfect fit, but it will be fine. You can go ahead and clean these up more if you need to, or if you want to, and then I'd recommend maybe applying some sort of something like WD-40 with sort of rust preventative stuff in it, so that it can stop this from rusting if you're doing sort of what I'm doing, light cleanup. But I'm not sure if you can buy these new, or just replace them, but that could also be another option. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and build everything up now, and fit these all together, and there's the old bush, and apply the grease next. Okay, so everything's assembled, as you can see. Hopefully see. The shaft's in there, inside, on both sides. The clean one is quite loose, and then the rusty one does fit somewhat more snugly, but that will be fine anyway. And then you just got your top carrier here. As you can see, the edges just sit over instead of actually in sort of a rubber seat like on the old one there. They're just sitting over the sides. I'm just going to apply the grease next, and I'm going to use the whole sort of cartridge of this, because I may as well. I'm going to apply some in on the gear selector shaft. So, as the grease applies to the actual shaft, I'd advise wearing gloves when doing that, so you can spread it over. So I'll just slide that over and I'll show you what that looks like once I've done that. Okay, so there's the old bush, as you can see. It's pretty soft and flexible. But it's actually in surprisingly decent condition all round. So we are just gonna put it in the old Powerflex box that the new bush came in, the poly bush, just to keep it in case anything happens. But here's the end of the shaft where it flares at the end. I'll just go underneath and show you. But we had to angle grind it off because, well, it's a bit dark, but if you think of the shaft comes out, it flares at the end. I did try crushing it, as you can possibly see, to sort of get it round, but if you can see that, it's pretty thick steel, and so it's pretty hard to shift. But it might be a good idea to try that. But the easiest way to do it for me was to actually just cut it off, because there is enough sort of length on the shaft, which I'll show you now. Okay, so here's the bush. So poly bush is all fitted. We've got the silicone lube that's been put on the shaft as well, and then here's the original carrier and bolts, all in place, all bolted up. When you're bolting these up, it is tricky. You have to get it lined up a lot, sort of spot on, because how stiff the bush is versus the rubber one. So it does take a bit of time, but you can do it. And then it's just a matter of tightening this up a bit, then that one, then that one, then that one, and just going to either one until you've taut them both up, and then that's all fitted. And then up back, if you can see, just here, this is where the end of the shaft flares. There we are, flares at the end. The less you can take off, the better. All you're trying to do is take the flare off, not the actual straight end of the shaft. So that, as you can see, there's quite a lot, and it even moving shift linkage backwards and forwards. This whole shaft assembly basically stays where it is, because it's a pivot point for the secondary gear linkage. So this just doesn't really move, and plus once you've got the poly bush, it's again not really going to move at all. So not having too much length isn't the end of the world, but that's what we did. Something I was thinking about doing is putting a threads and then a bolt on the end, something like that. But leave it for now, see how we get on, and let's have a feel of what the gear linkage is like now. This is a pivot point shaft, whereas this is the linkage here, which is actually moving. So if I move that now, you can see this shaft here isn't really moving. It's not really going to move like that. So when you're shifting, it's not going to be move at all much. But as you can see, it's definitely a lot better than what it was. But that's the polyurethane bushing. Okay, so we're back inside. This is the first time for me as well to be testing what the gearbox feels like and shifting. Wow. So in fifth, if you can hear that, it does rub against the aftermarket exhaust at the moment, but that might be something we can sort out at a later date. But that is really, it definitely feels better by a little bit. Feels more direct. Feels quite short actually. Quite nice. So there we have it. There's the Powerflex bush fitted.